Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Boss Talks. I'm Christine Drummond and I've got my amazing co-host here, Joel Lord, with you as well. And we are so excited to be bringing you today's podcast. It's been a little while between our business podcast chat, so we are going to dive into that. But I really want to share with you at the beginning that if you get value out of what we talk about, I know we bang on about this every podcast, but we really want to be seen as one of the best podcasts going around. And we can only do that with your support and with you sharing this with other people. So if you love it and you love this information, you feel like other people could get value from it, don't keep us a secret. Share us with the world. Share us, write us a review, write us a comment, send us a message on what you'd love the next topic to be. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And you are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of information and content that Joel and I have poured valuable money into. And now we are regurgitating what we've learned to you guys so that you can improve your life, so you can grow to that next level, so you can hold yourself to a higher standard. And that's why we are here today. So Boss Talks is all about you guys being the boss of your life in whatever that looks like for you. But today's podcast, Joel, we are diving into the 3 ways to blow up your business. Now, this is going to cover a lot of our listeners because we've got a lot of listeners in different professions, different fields, and we thought, you know what, let's bring them some gold today. Let's really hunker down in what we feel are the 3 main steps to really elevate your business, to take it to that next level, to improve your bottom line, to improve your reach, to improve your impact, to improve your income. And if that's you, if that sounds like something you would love to learn, then listen to the end, guys, because this is going to be full of gold. So we're going to dive into number 1, Joel. We were talking off air before this in regards to this first one. And I think it's a common term that it gets thrown around a lot and people kind of just brush it aside now and go, yeah, I've heard that before. But guys, number 1 starts with your mindset. And I want to bring Joel in here because Joel is like the mindset king. And he is someone that I hold in high regard in regards to this topic because I've seen how his mindset is and how that's led to the discipline, the consistency, the growth, and the success that he has had in all aspects of his life, not just business, but relationships with his family, relationships with other people. And Joel, I would love you to share, your thoughts on number 1 of our 3 ways to blow up your business.
Well, thank you. And it's so important. Mindset. You hear people like Tony Robbins say that mindset is, it's 80% mindset, 20% mechanics. So, like as a business coach, as a success coach, what I do is I help people become more successful. And I love business. And honestly, if you don't have the mindset to be able to show up every day, then and to do the work and to be able to see the goal, to hold the vision while you can't see the path there, like that takes some stones, that takes some guts, and that takes mindset, because you can't always see how you're even going to get there. There's people that let's even talk about network marketing. There's the holy grail in every company, right? And wow, does it take some mindset to, as Christine, you're at the top of an amazing company. And, I bet you thought it was going to be a certain way, and I bet you it didn't happen that way. And I bet you it took more mindset than action, because look, we can take action. A saying that I get often, that I say to my clients, is that, you can run west all day long with harder and harder, more and more effort, and you're never going to see the sunrise. So you need to have the mindset that's actually going to allow you to find the way, even when you can't see what's happening. So you can find every strategy known to man to do anything you want to be able to do in any business, in health, in wealth, you learn to paint, you can learn to play guitar, saxophone. It's all on the internet. It's all there. It's all in Google. Then if it's that easy, like for me, I think that strategy is like less than 1%. I think it's 99% mindset, if not more, because we know what we need to do. Like even when we're losing weight, we're not talking about business. We all know how to lose weight and to be the right weight. We all know what we need to do. Then why aren't we doing it? It's a mindset issue. So in business, first things first, before you even open the gate on your business, it needs to be mindset. And like, what do you reckon? Like, tell me about your trip to the top of the mountain that you made. Tell me.
Top of the mountain. Well, I suppose what I'm noticing out there is that so many people are on autopilot. They're in this trance. They're in this hypnotic state. They don't know what they want. They don't even know what's out there, what's available, because they've never asked. They've never got curious. You know, their mindset is, I've got to work hard for my dollar. I've got to go to work. I've got to work for someone for 40, 50, 60 years. And at the end of it, hopefully, you know, my hips are in place and I get the gold watch and I get the payout, and then I can travel the world, you know, when I've retired. And I think that we're in a time now where everything's going digital. We're seeing more and more entrepreneurs than ever before. And I think when I think about mindset, and you know what, Joel, when I decided, because in the beginning of my journey, you're right, it wasn't what I expected. It was so much more. And I treated it as a hobby. So I was getting hobby-like results. I was half in, I was half out. I was giving a half-assed effort, so I got half-assed results, you know. And once I changed my mindset, and you know what, enough's enough, I'm making the decision, I'm going all in. And as scary as that is, and I got to say, one of the fears is that people are failing. People are so scared of their potential success that holds them back. They are so scared of what they are capable of if they decide to go all in. Are they going to be able to keep up? What's it going to do to their family unit? And that was one of my fears. If I am successful in this, oh my gosh, what does that mean? Because we've got such an awesome life as a family. What's it going to mean? I'm going to be busier. They're not going to have my attention. You know, I'm not going to be as present mum as I want to be. And that was bullshit. And I had to call BS on my own crazy thinking. But once I made the decision, Joel, once I was like, you know what? I'm sick of worrying about what people think. I'm sick of people telling me this, that, and putting their icky beliefs on me. That wasn't my belief system, you know, and I wanted more for my family. I wanted more. And I shared a post today, Joel, and I hope it's okay that I share it on here. But it wasn't until I got a why that pulled me did I start seeing some solid success in my business. And I want to share that why with the listeners today. Back in February in 2016, my 3-year-old daughter was talking FaceTiming her dad. And this is the power of mindset, guys. So listen into this. I said to my daughter, okay, it's time to say goodnight to daddy. Give your dad a hug. And she, where's my phone? She grabbed the phone. She hugged the phone as if it was a teddy bear. And then she picked it up and she kissed the screen. And my heart just sank, and I'm getting emotional thinking about it, because in that moment, all I could see was, this is not how families are supposed to be. My partner does fly in, fly out work. He misses birthdays, weddings, christenings, you know, Christmases, social events, you know. And at the end of that call, I said to him, babe, you've got to give me a figure. Give me a figure that I can earn that will allow you to hang up your fly-in, fly-out boots, and I'm going to bring you home. And he threw this crazy figure out. And I know in the back of his mind, he's smirking, going, good luck with that. And you know what? I now had a reason. I now had a why, and my mindset shifted. It shifted, and I became passionately obsessed with my mission. I started a tribe of other like-minded people who had different visions and different dreams for themselves, but they understood mine. And we were on this journey together, and we created this bigger impact, this bigger way to serve others. And you know what? Our son was about to be born later that year, and I didn't want my husband missing out like he'd missed out for our daughter for so many things. So in December that year, a couple of days before Christmas, I out-earned him and I was able to bring him home. And a couple of months later, and that's the first Christmas he had with us as a family for a long time too, by the way. So he had Christmas with his brand new son, his daughter, and the rest of our family. And then in February, our daughter was going to her first day of school. And that would have been something that he would have missed, my husband would have missed. And I remember walking her to school, looking at their faces, my partner's face, my daughter, my son, and I just felt this overwhelm of gratitude and immense pride. And I just said to myself, well done, Christine. You made this happen. You created this magic moment for your family. And guys, that's what a change in mindset can do for you. I'm not telling you this story to impress you. I'm telling you this story to impress upon you what can happen when you combine confidence with courage and you have that shift in mindset where you just back yourself, where you just go for something, you know. And a lot of people say, oh, I can't do what you do, Christine. I can't do what you do, Joel. That's crap, guys. You can. You've just never tested yourself before. It's that mindset. And what happens if you give it a crack and you don't fall where you thought, but you fall a couple of steps back? At least you're further ahead than what you thought you were. So for me, Joel, mindset is all about making that decision, having the vision, having that why that pulls you, and then it doesn't feel like a job or effort when you do that. So I just wanted to share that story. I hope that was okay to share.
That was amazing. And look, that's a great thing to find. And, you know, you're like, some people will be sitting back going, oh, well, I haven't found that yet. Well, the reason why Christine could find that was because she was actually in motion. She wasn't sitting on her ass watching TV and letting her life go by. She's actually out there experiencing life, not being frightened for the bad to come along. She's just out there doing it. And then, because you're going to see things in motion that you're not going to see standing still. Because Christine's in motion, she sees opportunities and she gets to be part of it. So that's why she found it. So here's some great questions that I ask people in my programs and in my coaching about how to really get a mindset around your business. So before you even go back to your current business or you start a business or whatever it is, ask yourself these questions like, what do I wish my life to look like? You don't know what you want your life to look like. So let's like superimpose this over what Christine just said. She decided that she wanted her life to look like a family that currently wasn't happening. Like, you know, so she actually asked herself that question, whether you knew it or not, that, you know, how do I wish my life to be on a day-to-day basis? What would I like to be able to say I truly know in my life and about my life? How would I like to be with other people in my life, my family, my friends, my business associates, my customers, my employees, my community? Now, I've got through I'm about halfway through the questions. I want you to pause and listen to and write down an answer. And have I said one thing about money? I haven't yet, have I? How would I like people to think about me? What would I like to be doing 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when my life comes to a close? What specifically would I like to learn during my life in spirituality, physically, financially, technically, intellectually, about relationships? So answer all those questions first. And then you ask, how much money will I need to do these things that I want to do? And by when will I need it? Then, if you don't keep asking, because if you don't get if you ask those questions and you don't get an answer that's compelling, you are lying to yourself. You are telling porcupines in the answers because you're worried about what someone else is going to think or whatever. You don't need to tell anyone your answers, but you know, you can see that subconsciously Christine used these kind of questions to get the goal that she needed. So that's how you get a mindset. And then when you have a mindset that's like a goal that's so strong, like Christine said, that's going to pull you towards it rather than, you know, maybe pushing away from, oh, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be broke. That's a pushing you away from being broke. But what if I want to be wealthy so I can live the life I want to, so I can spend time with my partner at Christmas? And, that's a pulling you towards it. So seriously, like the 95%, they are motivated by pain. I don't want you to be that. I want you to be motivated by inspiration, and motivation. I hate that word because it doesn't last. But you know what I mean? I want you to be inspired to go get what you want that's why we created the podcast. So that's it. Like, unless have you got something else to say about the mindset, Christine?
No, mate. I think, like, honestly, what we've spoken about is now going to dive into our second step, which is stick to one thing. How often do we see people out there that have that shiny object syndrome where they're bouncing from thing to thing? They don't give something long enough before they jump into the next thing, and they've got about 18 balls in the air trying to juggle everything, and they're not doing one thing well. They're trying to do 18 things well, and they're not even doing one thing well. So when you hone in, and there's a great book, and I can't remember who wrote it, but it's called The One Thing. Pretty sure it's on my shelf behind me. Yep. And it's called The One Thing. And, if you can master that one thing and get it to a point where it's really successful, then yes, you can go and look at other things. You can go and, spread yourself a little bit thinner because you've got this one thing up and running that took your time and attention and focus, blood, sweat, and tears sometimes to get it going. And but most of the time what we see is people don't give it the respect that it deserved from the beginning. And that's where we see people really failing. So Joel, I know you've got a lot to share around this as well. So chime on in, buddy.
Well, it's Gary Keller. Thank you. I Googled it for you while we're on. I quickly went and had a look. So yeah, that would be an amazing book. Yeah, I've seen, like, one of the most common things I've come across in my my career and looking at success is, let's take Grant Cardone. Like, that guy he says he wasn't the brightest spark. He wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. And he sees that as his advantage because he didn't think that he had all these different options open to him. He came up as he's 25, he's a drug addict coming out of rehab, and people were saying, you've got no potential, you've got no hope. So all he had left was, he goes, well, what have I actually got? Well, I've got a work ethic. So now all I need is a strategy. And once he found that, so he goes, you give me a strategy and I'll run on it all day. And that's what he did. He got up early in the morning and he worked and he worked and he worked until he got where he wanted to get. And he's still working. But you see, he didn't go into 18 different businesses, as we were saying before. He literally just wanted to become a master of one thing. Instead of a jack of all trades, and a master of none, he wanted to be really great at one thing, which was sales. And, that's a big thing. That's a big part of success. So the other thing I see is, you get a lot, because we've got options. Like I said before, every strategy, every lesson, every teaching, everything we ever need to learn about any subject is on Google. We can find it. So we are certainly, I know we're not information poor. In fact, we've got more information available to us than we've ever had in the history of the planet, in modern times. But we're focus poor. We're so poorly focused. So, like, one of the things I hear from a lot of my clients is, when we're just starting out, is they're like, I'm like, well, what's your first product? What's the product you're going to bring to the market? We need to know what that is. And they're like, oh, well, I do hypnotherapy, I do Reiki, or I do business coaching, and I do this, and I can do that. And I like all these multiple different things that they can do, like maybe they do, relationship support, maybe they do consulting, like they've got all these different things that they can do. And they find it really hard to pick one. But if you don't pick one, you're confusing your market and you're dividing your attention. And realistically, like as Andy Frisella says, it's in the mundane where your riches are found. You know, it's like when I would have loved to have done multiple businesses in my early days. But if I was doing multiple businesses, who would have opened my shop? Like, I didn't want to put the key in the door every morning. I didn't want to put the chickens on every day. I didn't want to count the tills at night. I didn't want to go in at 2 a.m. because the freezers had, alarm was going off or whatever was going on. I didn't want to do that, but I did it every single day. And eventually it pays off. Like, it took me a long time for it to pay off, but like that's it. Like, if you keep on, if I was to be in health and wellness and be in business coaching and then be I can't think of anything, a school teacher, and then be a blackboard maker or whatever, or a carpenter, no one would know what I do. And no one would buy from me because they'd be like, who is that guy? He doesn't do anything, So stick to one thing and get really great at it, get known for it. And then that's when you get to spread out. I was talking off air with Christine, like Gary Vee and Tony Robbins did this amazing Ask Gary Vee episode. And they said, what is the number one reason? That one of the questions was, what was the number one reason that entrepreneurs fail? The serial entrepreneur, it's always starting 13 different businesses, well, they both said the exact same thing. They said they keep on chasing the shiny. So look at Tony Robbins. He started one business, made it rock solid, and then he spread out into different industries. Gary Vee did the same. He built VaynerMedia, for himself. He did his Wine Library before it, but after he left Wine Library, went and did VaynerMedia, built VaynerMedia so it was like rock solid, and then he moved into Vayner Sports and all the other, he's doing plenty of things. But those little subsidiaries, he can afford to have them fail because he's covered by what his main castle that he's built. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, if you're going to do network marketing, do network marketing until you're at a place where you're happy with it, or it's going to build, and then you can come back to it if it starts to wane. If you're going to do like Amazon drop shipping, then just do that. Don't try to do everything at once, and then, as Christine said before, get hobby-like results because you're treating it like a hobby. So just, I can't agree more with you what you're saying there.
And I really want to recognize you for this because, I've kind of ebbed and flowed and gone on this journey of where I was laser focused, got the results. Then I started doing 1,000 things and diving into other things because this one was successful and ticking away. So I dropped the ball on this and I started picking up all these other things. And then it started to confuse everybody. And it was Joel that was like, come on, you've got to pull it back to the one thing. You've got to get back. Because in that whole process, I actually lost myself again, and that's because I was trying to be everything to everybody. And I think you've got to get really clear on, what is it that you actually want and which one is going to bring about the results that you need. Now, if you're in a business right now and you feel like you're doing 1,000 things and you're not doing anything well, it applies to the same thing. So if you've got a business and you're not doing customer care very well, but that's the one thing that you need to focus on right now to maintain retention, because that's big business. Retention is big business. Then focus just on that until you start nailing it, until you got your system in place. Don't worry about all the other stuff. Just focus on that one thing. Or maybe you're in a business where sales are down, and if you don't get sales to increase, you're going out of business. Then you just need to focus on that. Don't worry so much about the other stuff, or delegate, or be resourceful. Delegate things out. You don't have to be the bookkeeper, the marketer, the tax agent, the sales and marketing. Delegate some of this stuff out, guys. Joel and I, we're out loud and proud about not loving doing bookwork. So we both delegate that activity out because doing bookwork is not allowing us to stay in our genius. Our genius is when we're serving people. Our genius is when we're in an inspired state, and bookwork takes us further away from an inspired state, let me tell you. So delegate out what you can. And, the reason why, I really want to mention Joel here, and Joel is an excellent coach, and this is why I associate myself with people like Joel, because he will call it as it is. And I'm very variety driven. It's one of the 6 human needs that really drives me. And Joel pulls me back in. And variety can be confusing for people. Variety can be intimidating for people. So, when Joel shows up as a friend and goes, you know what? We need to hone in. We need to have less variety. We need to have more certainty right now. You take note. You want to have friends in your corner like that, guys, okay? So I really encourage you guys to find that one thing, find which two of the main 6 human needs that you need to show up as your best self, okay? And then who are you when you're your best self? What does that look like? What personality is in the driver's seat when you are your best self? And I think, if we're thrown into a situation or life is happening to us, our mind is so powerful, it will create a personality to help us cope with the situation. And I've seen this happen so many times. It happens to me sometimes when I become this psycho person. But you know what? I've seen Tony Robbins do this, where someone has been stuttering, and you can actually look this up on YouTube. You can see how he took this guy that years ago, the stuttering only started when he went through this traumatic experience, and ever since this new personality was created that was a stutterer. And so his whole life he's been stuttering. But when Tony Robbins actually called forward a new personality, a different personality, a personality that was going to serve this guy in a better way, guess what happened? His stutter went away. And you can find that video, and you can actually see how he did it. But this is what we're talking about, guys. It's about knowing who you need to become. Who do you need to become to make that one thing successful? What traits and characteristics do you need to embody in that moment to get that thing done? See things through to completion. So many people don't see things through to completion, and builders come to mind for me. I know so many builders, and you go around to their house and it's never finished, so like, guys, I hope this is making sense. I hope this is resonating. Joel, do you have anything else to speak about? I know
I do actually. I got one little thing that'll blow your mind. I was talking about the conversation we had about like sticking to one thing, and it was funny. Vicky just said, "Well, why don't you guys find variety in the one thing? Meet your need for variety inside the one thing." And I was like, "Wow." Someone's been listening to some pretty smart stuff. I was like, wow, that was awesome. So instead
Has she been listening to our podcast?
She does. She listens to it. But it was like, just, sometimes like, that's why it's so important to have a coach and to talk this out, and like to go, just take that a step further, is like the practical joke is that you can't see in your own periphery sometimes. And then someone that just comes along and just says the most simple thing like that. And I was like, wow, find variety in what it is that you're singularly doing. And I was like, wow.
It's so funny that you brought that up as well. And I absolutely love Vicky, and watching her growth has been phenomenal over the last 12 months and beyond. And I think this is why network marketing is so attractive to so many people, especially variety-driven people, because there is variety in every single day. We've got new conversations, new customers coming in, new team, different personalities we're dealing with, and it meets so many of the 6 human needs, which is, certainty and variety and significance and love and connection and growth and contribution. When I look at those 6 human needs, network marketing, our company in particular, we hit those 6 human needs. So whichever 2 are most prevalent for you, that's why it's so attractive for so many people. But you're right. You were so right. And I love how Vicky's just said that, guys, just find variety in what you do every day, like in that one thing. It's so simple. Thanks, Vicky.
No, how good is it? So next step, Christine, is sell 80% of the time. And what I mean by this, I'm realizing that we've got some people that listen that have got companies that are well beyond the $1 million mark a year, and you guys already know this because you wouldn't be past the $1 million mark if you didn't. But you need to sell 80% of your time. When you get so many people go into business and they want to just be creative, they want to, talk to people and like do the books and do, they can get lost in even tidying their desk. I don't know if anyone's ever done that, but they know they've got a big day ahead of them. Then that's the perfect time to tidy your desk, or you know what I mean? They'll do anything apart from pick the phone up. And that really goes back to the start of the mindset where I said, like, a lot of people have got so many talents that they find it hard to pick one. And usually when I dig deeper, it's usually because they're frightened of that one day if they go along the path long enough on the one thing, they're eventually going to have to make a sale. And I want to really tell you that I know the listeners that are on our podcast, they're there because they want to have a conscious business. They want to make an impact. They want to help the world. They want to help people. They want to help the family. They want to help themselves. And you have not served anyone until a sale is made. The best thing you can do is get someone to have some skin in the game. Until then, and look, in my network marketing background and time, I don't think I've ever, in fact, I can say I've never, ever had a successful person in the business where they've had no buy-in. Because it's easy enough because it's so cheap to get in to cover the cost and believe in them and all that. But at the end of the day, when they don't have skin in the game, I haven't served them. And at the end of the day, something really powerful that a mentor of mine said was like, hang on, Joel, when you do that, you're disabling them. And I was like, what? So yeah, you're actually telling them that they aren't good enough to go find the money and you need to do it for them. You're actually, you're actually teaching them bad habits. And in my early days as a coach, there was time where I do a lot of free work. And I understand that's a part of it, if that's what you believe. And I'm not bagging out anyone that does that. But please stop it, because what you're doing is you're training your clients to not value themselves as well. And then it becomes sort of like a flow-on effect, a ripple effect of, you could go, how many generations of people do you want to teach not to earn some money for what they do, not to value themselves? So one of the best things I ever did was put my prices right up. I charge a lot of money for what I do now, and I feel really great about it. I have happier clients, way happier clients than the ones that I used to either charge nothing for because I get blamed, and it's just a learning thing. So like getting back to it, sell 80% of the time. If you aren't selling 80% of the time, you have no proof of concept. So many people go out there and they tell me all the time they're creating this amazing product that they're going to program, that they're going to sell to their clients. I'm like, okay, how do you know the clients want it? And they're like, oh, well, they will. I'm like, how do you know? So sell it first. Sell it first, because if you don't get a sale, you know that the market doesn't want it. And you'll save yourself a lot of time. So it reminds me of this story, Christine. A guy that he started a brewing company, and it was like a really great idea, like back in the days when craft beer was just starting. And he was actually he was going to be a really large craft beer guy, like really just another brewery. And he didn't have the money to start the business. So he went and got, he had a uncle who was very wealthy in business and brought him in as an investor. So this guy, he bought all the tanks, all the drums and everything like that to brew the beer, and he was brewing them. And 5 weeks before the beer was ready to ship out, his uncle rang him and said, so how you going, man? And he's like, really great. It's like the beer's nearly ready to ship out. It's all this and that. I was like, okay, what are you doing today? He says, I'm going out because I'm going to need a computer system. So I'm going out to get a computer system so I can, I'm going to need it for all the accounting. I'm going to need it for all the, tracking the orders and making sure that the business is run properly. And the uncle said, oh, okay, so how many of those barrels have you sold? He said, oh, none yet. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, guess what you're doing today? And I'm going to give you a tip. It's not buying a computer system. He's like, well, we need it. He's like, young fella, I've never, ever heard of a business going out of business or going broke because they didn't have a computer system. He says, I've heard of many that went broke because they didn't have any sales. He said, so what you need to do is get out there and sell those 5 barrels and then use the money that you got there to buy the computer system. So you got proof of concept. So Christine, that word sales, does it bring up anything for anyone?
Oh, absolutely. What a powerful story. Like, what a cool uncle. I wish I had uncles like that, you know. That's really cool. I love that microphone drop. You don't have to talk about anything else. So what I wanted to sort of speak about in here is in regards to selling 80% of the time, a lot of it has to do with listening, guys. And, you know, this is something that I've been working so hard on because I used to tell myself I was such a terrible listener. I talk all the time. That's probably why I've got a podcast, because I don't have to listen too much. But I want to give you 4 tools to really help you make these sales and make them in an authentic way, in a way that's going to serve you and your business. So the first thing is rapport. You need to build rapport and trust. So that guy, that story that Joel just shared, what I would have been doing is going to the people that he knows in the profession. I would have been building that rapport, having communication well before I was launching that business. I would have been strengthening those relationships with publicans and, you know, people that buy beer, you know, people, the distributors of beer, you know, going out there and building that rapport. And there's, you know, I listened to a call today with Felix Lim, who is one of Tony Robbins' master trainers, right? And he was teaching us about the mirroring and matching technique. So when we go into these meetings, when we go and have rapport with these people, to mirror and match them. And what does that mean? It means doing what they do and saying what they say in their words, you know, mirroring that back. And it could be like, and this will serve you as well if you're single and you're in the dating game when isolation finishes, you know, moving the same as the person across from you. So if they take a drink of water, you take a drink of water. If they cross a leg, you cross a leg. If they're standing there, if their arms crossed, you stand there with your arms crossed. And there's an energy that's created by doing that. You know, and eventually, and it doesn't even have to be someone in front of you. You might be sitting at a bar for all the single people and you want to mirror a beautiful lady or a beautiful man that's sitting near you. Start mirroring what that person is doing. And then eventually you will start doing some actions and they will start mirroring you because of the energy you've created. So there's so much more into this. So you want to be able to, you know, repeat back to them. If you're a visual person, you might say something like, I understand, like, I see what you see. Or if you're audio, you might say, I hear what you're saying. Or if you're a, you know, kinesthetic, like a feeling person, you might say, I understand how you feel. So, you know, really finding that out and follow along with their movements, and then you want to pace and lead them. The second thing is listen as twice as much as you are speaking, you know, and this is where you make it all about the other person. You're asking really important questions. Things like, which is number 3, what's most important to you? And that's what we're asking you guys today. What's most important to you right now in your business? What's the one thing that you need to focus on? That if you focus on this one thing, you know it's going to improve your bottom line. You know it's going to blow up your business. You know it's going to take your business to the next level. What is that one thing? And Joel just mentioned a really good one in that story, sales. So many of us are scared of sales. We shy away from sales. We devalue ourselves, yeah? So we want to make sure that, you know, asking yourself that empowering question, what's most important? And then the 4th one is, what would have to happen? What would have to happen for me to move in that direction of what's most important? What would have to happen for me to have that level of success, to have that income? What would have to happen for me to become that person that I need to become? What would have to happen? So they're kind of like 4 tools to put in your toolkit to pull out when you need to build your business, when you need to sell 80% of the time, when you're in business meetings, when you're on phone calls. guys, ask these questions and ask the other person. If you're doing business with someone, you need to know what's most important to that business. Now, if we take that guy that's got the brewery that's about to open up, what's most important for that publican right now? He probably wants to have good tasting beer because that's what brings his clients into the pub. Yeah, so what's most important for that person that you are dealing with, and what has to happen for me to get my beer into your establishment? How powerful are these questions, guys? And that's going to allow you to sell way more product or services or packages or whatever you offer. Back to you, mate.
Yeah, I really love that. And, you know, to build rapport, you need to tell your story, and you need to be sold on your product. You need to be closed on your product. You need to if you believe in your product and you're closed on your product, then, you know, you're going to be able to sell it because you're speaking from experience, and people are going to argue with that. So if I was to be selling cars and I own a Volkswagen dealership, and I'm driving a Holden, or probably not anymore. I think that's a bit of a bad one, wasn't it? We won't edit that out, but, you know, if I was driving a Jeep, then why would anyone? I won't sell many V-dubs. You know what I mean? So you need to be sold on your own product, and through your story, no one can argue with that, and people will go into trance and see themselves getting the result from your story, because they're going to be saying people are only going to say one or two things when you're speaking to them. It's either so what or me too. So when you're saying I'm so good, this product's so good, they're going, we don't care, so what? But if you tell a story about how life was good and then it went downhill, and then you found this product and now you've got these amazing results, and anyone else that uses that product also gets these results, you've got rapport. And it's a huge thing. So if you do that, and to second the mirror and matching, I went and did a Tony Robbins event too, back when I didn't know how to sell. Like, I don't need to use it anymore, but the mirror and matching, a guy came in and he was a renowned tire kicker. He was never going to buy a car. And I mirror and matched him when I was working at the car dealer. And I literally, when he took his glasses off, I'd wait a couple of seconds and I'd take my glasses off too. For those of you watching on YouTube, I'm taking my glasses off. I spoke in the same tonality. I matched him like crazy, and he bought a car and he didn't even know why. And, you know, so people were just, their jaws dropped. And I was like, while I was doing it, I was like, oh my God, he's going to just call me on it, but they don't. And like I said, I don't use that anymore. I might do it naturally. I don't know. But what I do is I just tell a story. And, you know, if you really want to succeed, exactly what Christine said in sales is you got to ask people what they want, what they need. And then you write down what they say, and then you sell them that. If you can, with integrity, deliver that promise. If you can't, you must refer them out, because that's anything less than that's not being in integrity. Like, so story for me, I had someone reach out to me for the products that we sell in our health and wellness business. And this person was a dancer, and the highly athletic, basically wrecked and tired. And she was having issues with her body. And they came to me hoping that this product would help. And I wouldn't sell it to them. I wanted them to go to a doctor. I tapped out, because they were literally throwing the credit card at me, and I wouldn't do it, because they were buying off the belief that this was going to do something that I couldn't back. Could it have happened? Yeah, maybe. But what they were looking for wasn't something that I could, with integrity, say that it could deliver. So I said no. And wow, would they respect me more now? Did I ever get a sale from them? No. Did I get referrals? Yes. Because I just like that. That's just how you be. And that's it, Christine. That's how you sell, and it doesn't need to be any more complicated. You don't need to read any books or anything like that. You just need to be you. Ask people what they want, and if you can deliver it, make sure you work your backside off and deliver it, and that's it.
I love that, mate. And that, like, I wrote down intention before you started sharing that. Be intentional, guys. Have integrity. Hold yourself to a higher standard, and start crafting yourself to be that person you need to be, to get the results that you need to get. We've said this before, the person that got you this far is not the person that's going to take you to that next level. You need to change your frequency. You need to change the level of vibration that you're vibrating at right now. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it does compound. This is a never-ending self-improvement process. There's never going to be a day where you are that perfect person and you've made it and now you've got all the successes and all the riches and the impact that you want. No, because as human beings, we always want more. We always want to see what we're capable of as well. So, if you can fall in love with the process and the journey of the growth and the lessons and everything that goes along with it, guys, seriously, like 3 ways to blow up your business. We've just given you so much gold in this podcast today. I hope you can really feel that, and I hope you've taken notes, because we want you to be successful. We want you to have the life that you want, not the lives that we want. We want you to have the lives that you want. We want you to live an inspired life. We don't want you to come to us in 20 or 30 years and say, I should have listened to you back then. I should have just implemented what you said. We're giving you this information for free because we know that it works and we want to have a greater impact. We want the masses to have this information. And that's why we show up week in, week out. Was it easy for us to get on this podcast today? No. We are homeschooling. We're running 2, 3, multiple businesses each, and I got my times wrong and I had another call at the same time, which lucky we weren't recording yet for the podcast. We do it because we love it and we want to make a greater impact. We want to serve you guys, okay? And I hope you can really feel our intention through the audio, through the YouTube, however you're listening to us. And we show up and we play at a higher level. I really believe that Joel and I are high performers because we have a big legacy to leave. We really do. Our impact that we want to create is bigger than ourselves. And, if you've got value out of this, I'm signing off, Joel. I don't know if you wanted to add in anything, feel free to come in. Just really, really take on board what you learned today. And if you've got value out of it, please share it. You can share it on your social media. You can share it in a private message to someone. You can, share it however you like. Drop us a review, as I said, because the bigger the impact that we get to make, the more reach that we have, the greater the impact we have, and the more lives that we can change. And we've got some big charity things that we want to do. And we can only do that if we can get in front of more people. So that's it from us today, guys. I hope that this has helped, and make sure if you've implemented some of these and it's helped you blow up your business, because we know that it will. If you actually implement it, your business will grow. Tell us about it so we can share with the listeners some of the success stories of you guys actually implementing some of this free information that's getting you the results that you want, okay? Because we don't want you having to fork out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and keep hopping and jumping from one seminar, one trainer, one coach to the next. Just start implementing, speed of implementation, just start implementing what you're learning. There's so much free information out there, guys. These coaches, these trainers, they're just saying the same thing in a different way, okay? So stop emptying your pockets and start investing in yourself, okay? Start implementing what you're learning. So that's it from us. We will see you again on our next podcast.
Damn.